For most of us, the death of King Charles III will mean another funeral, a lot of media speculation, and maybe the chance to stand in a really, really long line. Prince William, on the other hand? The first and most important thing passed down from King Charles III to Prince William will be his title. Prince William will become the reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, likely styling himself King William V. His actual coronation ceremony will take some time to arrange, but for all intents and purposes, William will become king as soon as his father dies.
God save the king!
God save the king!
According to sources, the royal family is prepared for William to become king sooner rather than later. In 2025, royal author Tom Quinn told Harper's Bazaar, "The people I've spoken to have said that the succession planning, as they call it, began even before Charles's cancer diagnosis. I mean, he's the oldest Prince of Wales to become king in history, so succession planning had begun before Charles came to the throne simply because of the age issue." William's new title won't just be a nominal change, though, as the crown will come with many new responsibilities for William. Although he won't have any executive political power, William will become the head of state, a position that involves plenty of constitutional duties. He'll be responsible for appointing new prime ministers, opening parliament sessions, and assenting to bills that parliament passes. He'll give a traditional speech on Christmas Day, and he'll also continue his charity work, likely remaining focused on the issues he's championed thus far, such as the environment and mental health awareness. In modern times, Buckingham Palace has been considered the primary residence of the reigning British monarch, but that's largely because it's where Queen Elizabeth II lived during her 7-decade reign. Although other monarchs have lived there, it's up to each individual which royal residence they want to call home. For example, King Charles's primary residence is Clarence House, a mansion that he lived in before his mother became queen. Prince William and his family currently live at Adelaide Cottage, a relatively small property located on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Reports have circulated that William and his family are considering a move to Fort Belvedere, which was once the residence of King Edward VIII, but it nevertheless remains to be seen where he will live when he becomes king. Whether he lives there or not, Buckingham Palace will be passed down to William. Though he won't technically own it, he will be responsible for it, and the palace will remain the administrative headquarters of the monarch. Either way, William does reportedly have plans for the residence, as reports have suggested that he aims to make the entire monarchy, including Buckingham Palace, run in a slimmer, more efficient, and more modern fashion.
I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda.
Buckingham Palace is a huge asset to the monarchy, but that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the real estate Prince William will inherit when he becomes king. William will take over all other royal residences that belong to the crown, as well as some that personally belong to the Windsor family. Some of the more notable of these include Frogmore Cottage, Kensington Palace, Highgrove House, and St. James's Palace, though in total there are over a dozen properties that William stands to inherit. That said, William's relationship to each of these properties won't be entirely different from what it is now. He'll only use one as his primary residence, while the others will likely become secondary personal residences. For example, King Charles and Camilla use the Castle of May as a vacation home, so perhaps William and his family will adopt that tradition. As these properties become William's responsibility, he'll also have the power to allow other members of the royal family to use them as their primary residences. For example, when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were senior members of the royal family, they lived at Frogmore Cottage. When William becomes king, he could feasibly allow his brother's family to live at Frogmore Cottage again if they wanted to do so, although that's probably not likely considering, well, you know.
Boom.
Much of the royal family's wealth is tied to state assets, but they've also got significant personal fortunes. When Queen Elizabeth died, her personal wealth, estimated at around £370 million, was split among her children and grandchildren. The bulk of this, however, was passed down to King Charles. Charles's personal estate is a little different to Elizabeth's, however. To begin with, Charles is estimated to be worth even more than his mother. His personal net worth reportedly sits at £640 million, a number tied to cash, land, art, jewelry, property, businesses, cars, and more. Much of the king's personal wealth is believed to have come from his careful saving of the income he received from the Duchy of Cornwall while he was Prince of Wales. Moreover, the queen was also a widow when she died, while Charles is currently married. Experts believe that his wife Camilla will inherit a large sum of Charles's personal wealth, unless she dies before Charles. That, of course, would mean that William would receive a smaller cut of Charles's money. At the risk of understating things, the royal family isn't exactly short on places to live. Aside from the crown's ownership of all those estates and palaces scattered across the United Kingdom, King Charles also owns a few personal properties. Balmoral Castle, Sandringham Estate, and Clarence House, while considered royal residences, are technically Charles's personal properties, which he inherited from Queen Elizabeth. These buildings have been in the royal family for decades, even centuries, so it's almost certain that Prince William will inherit them. Clarence House could be left to Camilla, as that's where she and Charles currently reside, though it's just as likely that it will be left to William, leaving it up to him to decide whether Camilla can continue living there. Charles also owns 2 private properties outside of the United Kingdom, both of which are located in Romania. For reasons we can only guess at, these properties are located in Transylvania. One is an 18th century Saxon house that now acts as a training center for rural workers, while the other is a bed and breakfast that any paying guest can stay at.
It is the last corner of Europe where you see true sustainability.
The former property was purchased through the King Charles III Charitable Fund, which is a charitable trust established to support Charles's philanthropic endeavors, so it's unclear who will lay claim to that specific property when William becomes king. Moreover, both are estimated to be worth around £810,000 each. While that's a great sum for the average citizen, it pales in comparison to the other assets that William stands to inherit. King Charles and Prince William are best known by their official royal titles, but they both have multiple other titles according to the estates they oversee. Charles, for example, is also the Duke of Lancaster, as he inherited the Duchy of Lancaster from his mother when he became king. The Duchy of Lancaster, also known as the Privy Purse, is a private estate that has been in the royal family since 1399. It consists largely of rural land spread across the United Kingdom and generates millions in rental income each year, which serves as a significant portion of the monarch's income. When William becomes king, he'll become Duke of Lancaster, thus inheriting the Duchy of Lancaster itself. William will also inherit the sovereign grant when he becomes king, a source of public funding that acts as another source of income for the monarch. Like much of the wealth that monarchs inherit, however, this asset won't be William's private property. The sovereign grant is simply the monarchs to oversee and benefit from during their reign, and it will eventually be passed on to their successor. So when William ascends the throne, he won't be able to use the sovereign grant to make a profit, nor for that matter will he be able to sell any assets associated with the Duchy of Lancaster. The royal family owns oodles of baubles, and the most remarkable of the lot will come into Prince William's possession when he becomes king. Like other important assets within the firm, William will technically be the custodian of the crown jewels, as they're supposed to stay in the royal family, but he will be able to use them at his discretion. They're kept at the Tower of London, another asset William will inherit, under armed guard, and they're traditionally only taken out on special occasions.
So there are some disadvantages to crowns, but otherwise they're quite important things.
The British crown jewels are a collection of special pieces that have belonged to the royal family for centuries. One very special piece in the collection is the Imperial State Crown. A rather new piece in the collection, this crown was made for King George VI's coronation in 1937, and it's since been worn by monarchs at their coronations and other state events. Another, much older piece in the collection is the Sovereign Scepter with Cross. This scepter has been used by every monarch on their coronation day since 1661. In 1910, it received a massive upgrade in the form of the Cullinan 1 diamond. The world's largest colorless cut diamond, the 530.2 carat stone, now serves as the object's centerpiece. When William becomes king, he will also take on another role, Supreme Governor of the Church of England. This is a responsibility taken on primarily by English monarchs since the 1550s, and it's a position that's steeped in history. In this capacity, William will be known as the Defender of Faith, and he'll take on the position by swearing 3 oaths: to preserve Protestantism in Scotland, to be a faithful Protestant himself, and to uphold the rights and privileges of the Church of England. Though a largely ceremonial role, William will also be responsible for appointing archbishops, bishops, and deans of cathedrals. He'll also likely take on some responsibilities that were established by Queen Elizabeth II, including addressing the Church's General Synod. Elizabeth took her role as Supreme Governor of the Church of England very seriously. In a speech she delivered in 2012 at Lambeth Palace, she explained why she believed the position is so important to the country even in modern times. She said, "The concept of our established church is occasionally misunderstood, and I believe commonly underappreciated. Its role is not to defend Anglicanism to the exclusion of other religions. Instead, the church has a duty to protect the free practice of all faiths in this country." When he became king, Charles pledged himself to be as faithful to the position as his mother had been, opening the door for William to do the same when he becomes monarch. No one outside of the royal family could possibly catalog every asset belonging to the Windsors. The list is too long, and there are almost certainly a number of items that aren't known to the public. However, there are some odds and ends that are widely known, and these will become the responsibility of Prince William when he becomes king. Take the Royal Archives, for example, a public and accessible collection of personal and official documents from the monarchy's history. William will also become the custodian to the Royal Art Collection, which has been in curation for 500 years. While some of it is on loan to galleries abroad, its contents can also be viewed online. There's also a collection of private pieces belonging to the royal family, which experts imagine will be passed on to William when he becomes king. Though much smaller, this collection is believed to be quite spectacular, with a Marc Chagall Bible and pieces by Claude Monet and Salvador Dali among the lot. In addition to the art pieces owned and looked after by the royal family, William stands to inherit a fleet of luxury vehicles, with Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Jaguar among the brand names he'll possess. He'll also inherit prize racehorses and a wildly valuable stamp collection, plus other official gifts that have been amassed by the royal family during its time in power. Not a bad haul, don't you think?